Hello and welcome to Dateline Lagos on Channels Television. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Coming up on the program, Lagos holds 2023 Tradesmen and Artisans Day. FAO, UNIDO present report on coconut development to Lagos State, and state government flags off a co-agro mechanization scheme. The Lagos State government says it will continue to invest in capacity building and infrastructure development for small and medium-scale enterprises. Now, the State Deputy Governor, Quadri Hamzat, made the pledge at the 13th edition of the Tradesmen and Artisans Day celebration and graduation held at the Blue Roof in Agidingbi, Ikeja, Lagos.
It's the 2023 Tradesmen and Artisans Day celebration and graduation ceremony at the Blue Roof, Agidingbi, Ikeja, Lagos. Members of the group are all gathered for the 13th edition, and the State Deputy Governor, Quadri Hamzat, joins them for the ceremony.
Part of infrastructural development in Lagos for many years.
The Commissioner for Wealth Creation and Employment says the graduation ceremony for over 1,000 upscale tradesmen and artisans is to recognize and showcase the potential and contribution of the informal sector to the socio-economic growth of the state.
Since the inception of this present administration, under your leadership, a number of support programs have been implemented. These include provision of annual subvention of 6 million naira for the State Council of Artisans and Tradesmen, LASCOTA, on a yearly basis. Training and upskilling of 500 artisans in 2019, 2,000 in 2020, another 2,000 in 2020, in 2022, no, in 2021, and right now we're having 1,700 in 2022. Let me inform that in line with the theme of this year's celebration, which is empowering the informal sector for sustainable wealth creation and employment, it is through an intensive training program for 8 weeks. All our artisans have gone through that since last year. Coupled with the free modern equipment, this definitely is an indication that Mr. Governor and his deputy, they are interested in endangering sustainable wealth and employment for youths, and even if you are not youth, if you're a woman, much as you are upskilled, Mr. Governor has done fantastically well, removing you from your rudimentary knowledge to a professional level. This is to endanger sustainable wealth creation and employment for youths and unemployed residents of our dear state. The informal sector is the engine room that drives the economy. It therefore becomes imperative for Lagos artisans to work towards the realization of a common purpose, which is creating 21st century artisans for sustainable economic growth, with a view to making and sustaining Lagos as the 21st century economy.
The President of the State Council of Tradesmen and Artisans commended the current administration for providing an enabling environment for traders to thrive.
We also thank him for his wonderful programs and support to artisans in the state. We also thank him for the rigorous execution of his administration team agenda, which improved the life of all Lagosians and provisions of infrastructure and education, agriculture, health, roads, transportation, etc., daylight trade, ferry services, and adequate security in the state, which give us an enable environment to practice our trade, and for the honor sponsoring the retraining, skill acquisition programs and empowerment of our members. Provision of palliatives to tradesmen and artisans this year to cushion the adverse economic effects of scarcity of money and fuel. I also appeal to all the graduates to pass the knowledge acquired during the training to other members of the association and to make judicious use of tools and equipment given to them. Our request, we appeal to the governor to assist us to fast-track the release, to release all the title documents on the land donated to us as going Igbo quarters at Badagry, which Your Excellency have waived the payment of the charge on the land as at last year's Tradesmen and Artisans Day celebration on 7th September 2021. To reverse the annual subvention to Lagos State Council of Tradesmen and Artisans of 12 million, which reduced to 6 million due to COVID-19. We want you to put in place policy that will ensure that our members are patronized by government offices and government contractors.
Some of the tradesmen and artisans were rewarded. The Deputy Governor assures the people of continuous support for small and medium-scale enterprises.
Let me congratulate you for your resilience, which has enabled you to overcome several challenges you encounter and still remain key contributors within a sector that we always call informal. But the truth of the matter is the GDP of Nigeria. They said 72% of it is created by what we call informal. How can that be informal? When 72% of our GDP is created by a sector. So it's an important sector, and we know it in Lagos. So let me particularly express how worried we were about the current hardship that we are going through in our country. And indeed all Lagosians, about this currency swap and so on and so forth. I want to assure you that we feel your pain and that we are in solidarity with you. You will notice that some few days ago, we called some people to Adeyemi Bero to give them some materials to relieve some of this hardship. I'm sure going forward, some of it will come to you. So we do everything within our power to make sure that we minimize this hardship occasioned by this policy. Your adopted theme for today, empowering the informal sector for sustainable wealth creation and employment, is very apt, is instructive, and resonates very well with the policies of our administration, which is the team's agenda. Because the M there means making Lagos a 21st century economy. It is a fact that no society, no economy, no nation can do well without the services being rendered by artisans, vocationists, and tradesmen because of their direct impact on people's day-to-day living and comfort. In recognition of that role as key players in that sector, we have consistently in Lagos State developed initiative solutions and solutions that will address these challenges that you might face in doing your job so that we can improve productivity and promote decent means of livelihood and work conditions for all hardworking and resourceful artisans and tradesmen in our state. So it is in view of the critical contributions of a vibrant sector like this to economic development and job creation that Lagos State government will continue to invest in capacity building and infrastructure development for small and medium-scale enterprise to leverage on.
The administration of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says he's leaving no stone unturned to ensure that tradesmen and artisans make a success of their businesses, train others, and help reduce unemployment in Lagos State.
The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations and the United Nations Industrial Development Organization has presented a 300-page report on coconut value chain analysis to the Lagos State government. The Assistant Food and Agriculture Organization representative to Nigeria, Mr. Suleiman Abubakar, presented the report to the Lagos State government on behalf of the FAO and UNIDO. Take a look.
Coconuts, an edible fruit that can be eaten fresh, dried, or processed as coconut milk or oil. It's high in manganese, essential for bone health and metabolism of carbohydrates, proteins, and cholesterol. The fruit is also rich in copper and iron, which becomes useful in the formation of red blood cells, among other benefits. In Lagos, it's not just rice production that's receiving attention of the government. Coconut is also on the priority list. That's the reason officials of the State Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations and the United Nations Industrial Development Organization converged on GRA Ikeja for the presentation of the Coconut Value Chain Report.
In theory, we've disaggregated the strategy into 5 components. There is a component that improved operationalization of the actors within the space of the value chain, particularly in terms of organizational, economic and financial management, because that's one of the key components and part of the main finding of the report. There is also the second component which talks about improving productivity of the producers themselves, taking into account the problems that I have just highlighted about. That's the second component. I just listed the output here. And then the third component is about improving the productivity of the processors as well. While the fourth component is about building capacities of LASCODA as an agency, the only agency that has the mandate to promote development of the coconut sector. An institutional gap assessment as part of the value chain analysis for LASCODA has been undertaken, both in terms of technical, operational, and organizational mandate of LASCODA. And we believe that without enabling environment to drive the investment being led by LASCODA, it would be unrealistic for the investment to make meaningful, changes.
The 300-page document put together by the state government, FAO and UNIDO is to upgrade the strategy proposal for the development of coconut value chain in the state.
We would need to work harder towards showcasing that there's a lot of value within this sector. It's not just by saying it or putting it to paper. It's also about showcasing it in a way that when we make the loudest noise, people will have no choice but to turn around and ask us, what do we want? So it's a case of numbers. So when things are being done, let's say in the Badagry axis, do we have coconut farmers coming out? Do we have processors coming out? Are we showcasing ourselves enough that we give attention and we create the attention that we desire? Those are some of the things that we need to put into the frame. Like I said also, with regards to this report, it covers 6 salient factors that you will find anywhere else also in any agri value chain. One is capacity building. We know the number of farmers we have in the coconut belt, but we know we need to increase these farmers because we have aging trees, we have shortfalls here and there, and we need to ramp up the production capacity as quickly as possible. Number 2 will be on financing. We know that there are issues surrounding financing in agriculture generally, not to talk of coconuts, which a lot of banks will look at as, why should I invest in this? And also because of the long gestation period for the coconut tree. Number 3 will be partnerships, as I said, with multilateral agencies, donor agencies, and even the private sector. So we have partnerships already established, but we will need to do much more. Also, with regards to market linkage, there's so much to be done. Market linkage is actually one of the biggest challenges. Once you are able to sort out issues relating to market, automatically at the backward end, you'll see more people getting into producing, and then processing will definitely follow. So with the market linkage, it is hoped that with more collaborations within the space, with more openness and also with more diversity, particularly around how marketing can be done, we'll be able to establish better cooperation and linkages that would help processors and producers.
And the State Coconut Development Authority is excited about the report because it will help in the area of production, processing, and commercialization.
The report is about Nigeria. When you're talking of coconut, it's about Nigeria because in the report we captured some what we call satellite environment when it comes to coconut, because there's no way Lagos State will operate coconut value chain that we are not going to operate to part of Ogun State, even part of Ondo and Oyo State, because we have a lot of processors that their market basically is in Lagos State. So in terms of implementation of the report, the implementation have started. Let me say point blank that the report will not gather dust. And the Mr. Governor is very, very interested in seeing the project through. You may recall when you go through the report, it's going to be a 10-year project. And we are starting now. In fact, this report that we did, this inception report that we are submitting, is part of the project. It's just as it is the baseline to give us the direction. We just don't want to be implementing without knowing the direction. So it's being implemented already, because in terms of capacity building, in terms of a lot of things, it's being done already. So, but in real time, we are going to start all those things with the other international donors. There will be agreement, formal agreement, which will be done in a matter of weeks' time. And once we have that, we will start implementing the project. And again, when you look at the project, what Lascoda has been doing already, we've been creating platform so that the project will not going to start in ground zero. So we have done a lot of capacity building of the stakeholders, a lot of training of the stakeholders. So we are not starting at ground zero, and I tell you, the project has started in real time.
With the presentation of the Coconut Value Chain Analysis Report, Lagos State is set to create more awareness on planting of the fruit to ensure it is sufficient to create jobs and also increase the state's gross domestic product.
And the Lagos State government has flagged off the Eco-Agro Mechanization Scheme for farmers in the state. This initiative, which was launched by the State Commissioner for Agriculture, Abisola Olusoya, at the Agricultural Training Institute in Ekpe, will commence the statewide tractor hailing operations for farmers in Lagos.
These are newly acquired mechanized farming equipment aligned with the premises of the Lagos State Agricultural Training Institute, Araga, Ekpe. It's the latest set of equipment provided by the state government for farmers in Lagos as part of the Eco-Mechanization Scheme, which is being flagged off by the Ministry of Agriculture and heralds the commencement of the statewide tractor hailing operations.
The primary goal of the Eco-Agro Mechanization Scheme is to ensure unfettered access to farm mechanization services, especially for smallholder farmers, via a cost-friendly approach. As part of the activities preceding today's ceremony, our tractor drivers were exposed to various training to upgrade their skills in the operation and maintenance of tractors and ancillary equipment. I therefore use this opportunity to implore all the drivers to put the knowledge acquired during the training into practice and ensure that the tractors and equipment are handled with extra care so as to deliver maximum benefits to farmers across the state. As the ministry, we will not relent in our efforts to ensure the vision for a greater Lagos is achieved through the deployment of technology and mechanization towards the promotion of food security.
This is an initiative where technology meets agriculture, which is geared towards sustaining the tempo of increasing food production.
This rapid population calls for increased efforts to expand our production to meet the consequent demands for food. And towards this end, the ministry developed the agricultural 5-year roadmap, food systems roadmap, to scale local food production. The aim is to attract private sector investment, to get collaborations from donor agencies, multilateral agencies, towards increasing our food security measures from 20% to at least 40 to 50% within the next 5 years. We say in Lagos State we have over 160,000 farming families. How many of these people can have access to tractors if we don't make it as open and as transparent as possible. Because what would end up happening is you have tractors, limited in number. It will become a case of, I must know somebody to be able to get a tractor to my farm. And we felt we have such a large population, we need to take care of as many as we can. Therefore, let us come on this tractor hailing app where it's open to anyone, where anyone can see where the tractors are at any point in time. And if you require one and there are tractors available based on what you see on the app, you will get the services you require, which is why we partnered with Tractor on the Go to have access to the use of this platform for the benefit of our farming communities. We are starting the deployment of this technology app in Lagos for the first time, and we would like to see how far it will take us. This equipment will be stationed in 3 strategic agrarian zones of the state, obviously Badagry, Ekpe, and Ikorodu, and would serve the different farming clusters. Badagry zone will serve Avia, Igorosun, Goibo, Berefun, Ajara, Yafin, Itoga, Iworo, Ajido, Mowo zones. Ikorodu zone will serve the Agbowa, Imota, Odokoyo, Berigbe, Igbalu, Ijede, and Erikorodo areas, and the Ekpe zone will serve Araga, Igoye, Igodu, Itoikin, Ejiri areas respectively.
Partners of this scheme encourage farmers to form clusters to benefit from the initiative.
You would understand, sir, that it does not make sense to engage a tractor to go and plow 2 hectares of land or 1 hectare of land. So this would also encourage farmers in Lagos to form associations, thereby having access to a whole lot more, including financing, including grants from all kinds of multilateral and bilateral organizations. So farm clusters will be encouraged. So even if you are not in a cluster now, if you're not in an association now, if you're in a cooperative now, you should join one. It gives more strength to you as farmers. That is what we are advocating. So we are not saying farmer A has 2 hectares of land, he goes to the app and no, that doesn't really work that way. There's a back-end process which will have to engage you on a continuous basis. And that is why the ministry is here, the commissioner is here. There's a lot of work that will be done. Like I said, we'll have to roll up our sleeves and do a whole lot of work going forward.
Away from the interactive session, the Commissioner for Agriculture says mechanization is the bedrock for achieving food security globally, and Lagos must not be left behind.
Mechanization is actually the bedrock of food production globally, and if you see countries where agriculture takes the front stage, it is as a result of the utilization of mechanization, which is why Lagos as a front-runner state, as a center of excellence, and like the first of its kind in Nigeria, at least in the last 4 years, the Lagos state government under Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu has acquired 20 brand new tractors, tipping trailers, plows, harrows, and other implements, as you can see. So what's the idea around tractorization and mechanization is, it is a game of numbers, it is a game of commercial scale farming. And part of what this is supposed to help us do also is to galvanize farmers such that people start to come together. So if you require a tractor and let's say you have only 1 hectare of land, it is actually wisdom, the application of wisdom to be able to get as much land as possible to engage the services of a tractor. So the advice is for farmers nearby to form cooperatives, to form organizations where they can now begin to utilize economies of scale towards pricing and also towards getting mechanization access. That way, once you have large commercial sized farming, definitely cost of production would go down and farmers will be able to enjoy the margins better.
After which, they flag off the agro-mechanization project that will enhance food security and provide mechanization access to over 3,000 farmers in Lagos State.
And that's the program for the week. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tsunde Balogun. Until we come your way again next time, please stay safe and bye for now.